Knowing where to start when building your own home can be so overwhelming. And this video is all about explaining those initial steps that you need to take in order to get your unique home. In episode 4 of the podcast, we looked quite deeply about the unique home concept. And in the first episode, Kalenga and I just discussed what that actually meant. In this clip that we're going to share with you, we just go through some of the steps that you need to take. After the clip, I'll be explaining in a way that's easy for you to implement and for you to follow. I'll be explaining what those steps should be so that you have a head start on your project.
We're saying you need to plan for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we're saying is that you need to personally get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be deliberate about it. You need to take time to actually think it through.
Yeah.
Like you said, you ask yourself, what is it? What is it that I want? What is it that I like?
Yeah.
It requires an honest and real involvement, which at times is not necessarily there. You said people will rush to copy something. So I want something like that. I want that. Or you get a plan off the internet, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. What we're saying is that
before you do that,
or as you do that, ask yourself, is this really, why do I want this?
Yeah.
Does it fit in with what I am?
Yeah.
Yes.
What my family is.
Exactly.
What we are, how we relate with other people who come into our home. Will this actually work? So if you're thinking about, say, for instance, your veranda or your lifestyle, you'll be thinking about how do we sit here? How do we sit here at any given time during the week? How do we use this space? Do we sit a lot in the kitchen? Do we gravitate towards speaking to each other? When family comes, what does the home look like? Are we the type of people who want lots of guests? If we are that type of people who entertain a lot, then what does that look like in our space? And I think if you go into those questions and actually answer them, I think you get closer into thinking about the type of home that you want. When you start your project, you are going to need to speak to an architect. An architect is going to help you to get the ideas that you have in your mind and actually put them down on paper, help you to go through the motions of refining what that looks like, and then actually creating information that can be used, and this information is drawings, that can be used by a contractor to actually build your home. So it is a process, and that's the first person who you are going to need. In order for you to prepare for that journey that you're going to go through with the architect, there are a few things that you need to have done beforehand, and these are basically the initial steps that you'll need to go through. Number one, you need to sort out your land. You need to make sure that you have legal title and you are authorized to use the land that you are going to build your house on. And number two, you need to be clear on what your budget is. You don't need to know the specifics and you don't need to have all the money at once, but you need to know what you are capable of building financially. This may mean that you look through your finances and make sure that whatever it is that you're going to do fits in with the reality of where you are. The third step is for you to create a brief, and I'll go through this in a bit of detail so that you can work it out on your own. So the architect can't define the concept that you're trying to develop. The architect doesn't know you, they don't know your lifestyle, and this is something that you are going to need to do. The first step in doing this is to identify your needs. And what I'd encourage you to do is to go into each is to think about each room that you want to create for your home. So get a piece of paper and list down all the rooms that you think you'll need. For each room, you want to identify what it is that you need there, what it is that you have a vision of creating. And it's something that you do actually know, and as you start thinking about it, then the ideas will start flowing. So what you want to do is list down all the rooms that you think that you'll need, and go room by room and identify what's your vision for your room, what's going to make it work. So I'll give an example for a living room. You may need space to watch TV. Think of the activities. You may need space to watch TV, for you to sit down with guests when guests come through. Or maybe you need a space for reading a book by a library, a collection of books that you have. So you want to think through what are the things that you need for each space. Then you'll think about who's going to use each space and what specific things do they need to be able to live in that space well. So you could have kids, you could be a couple. So you want to think of the different people who are going to use your home and just list them down so that you make sure that whatever it is that you're creating caters for that movement of people. Then thirdly, you want to also think about the furniture that you would need. This helps in identifying the size of space that you need, or if you haven't bought any of your furniture, it then helps you just have a realistic picture of what it is that you'll need to put into the space. You don't need to go into too much detail, and you can look at it a bit lightly at this stage. The architect will help you to refine. But it really does help you know what the layout needs to be of your home. So it's very good to just consider it at this particular stage. At this point, once you've collected all of this information, you can get a piece of paper and just sketch out a few ideas. It's not necessary, but it does help in just trying to draw out the ideas from your mind. And then it's a useful tool to use to communicate to the architect what it is that you need. The other thing that you want to communicate to your architect and you want to include in your brief is just a sense of your style. And at this point, you can actually go to different sources. If you're not very clear on what your style is, you can use sources like Pinterest or online Instagram accounts that just give a sense of the things that you are drawn to. You don't want to spend too much time there, so I'd recommend just picking maybe not more than 10 images. You could even take images of places that you have actually visited. It could be a spot in your home that you really like, or maybe it's a color that you like, and you can take photos of that and include that, and just create a folder that you would then use to give to your architect to describe what it is that you are thinking. And then the architect can do the work of now figuring out how this is all going to come into a technical way. Once you've done this, then you've really done the major work at the beginning of the project. From here, you'll pass on this information to your architect and you can get going with your project. Tell us if this has been helpful to you or if any questions come up for you as you listen. Thanks. An Architect and a DJ Build a Home podcast has been brought to you by Emote Projects Limited. The show is hosted by Kalenga, he's the DJ, and me, Mphangela, I'm the architect. Media by Monkey Business Agency. Music by Bless the Creative.